get into this one right here. Why the hell is Chris Mullin in the Hall of Fame, Chauncey Billups, and Michael Cooper, but not Kevin Johnson or Shawn Kemp? Why? And of course, we've been hearing this nonsense that Horace Grant should be a Hall of Famer. So let me address that real quick about this whole Horace Grant thing, because, as I've told you before, I grew up a Chicago Bulls fan, and I basically watched every game when Michael Jordan was playing. I can say from about 87 all the way until 98. And I don't care what was going on, I got to watch the Bulls game if it's on. So let me tell you about Horace Grant. Horace Grant is a product of Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson's system. He was the third option, and he was a good player. And I think he turned into a great player by the time 91 came, and then we went on to 92, 93. He was just a great player in the league. And just like because of Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson, Pippen and Grant became great system players. Without Jordan being in that system of the triangle, if you took Pippen and Grant out of that triangle offense, they just weren't the same players. Just weren't the same players. Yeah, they could give you a little bit of defense when they're not playing, if they never played with Michael Jordan, but their careers wouldn't be the same. I mean, if you took Pippen and Horace Grant away from Michael Jordan, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe, later on he built a super team or went to go play with another great player, or maybe somebody else great came along. But that's not Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? The way he saw, I wouldn't say, fully, but, you saw the way Bird, he got McHale through the draft. Parrish, he was a free agent. And then you had Worthy that came through the draft. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was already there. So the whole super team thing wasn't really big back then. You had Isaiah Thomas. He got a couple free agents, but Rodman came in the draft. Joe Dumars came in the draft. So it wasn't something Michael Jordan was looking for, even though he had got free agents. And Michael Jordan knew he didn't need big-time free agents to initially start winning championships and being great. He just needed good draft picks that could play up to a, all-star level. They didn't have to be, I don't think they even had to be top 75, because if you take Pippen away from Jordan, there's no way Pippen is making a top 75 team. And he's lucky he made a top 75 team, because you really got to be upper echelon for two guys to be on the same team and be, both make the top 75. When we talk about, if we put Shaq with Kobe, that's just a different beast. If we put Magic with Kareem, it's a different beast. Those guys are top 5 all time. And Bird and McHale, I even think McHale was better than Pippen. So when we go through, number 2, when we talk about duos and we're talking about a sidekick, Kobe was better. I think John Stockton was better. I think Magic was better. I said McHale. And when I talk about these things, look at John Stockton, all-time assist leader. Led the league in assists all these times. Led the league in steals. On I think as many defensive teams as Pippen. So look, man, I just don't think Pippen is that good without Michael Jordan. You don't make no top 75. So let's don't get too far off of this. I'm just saying Horace Grant, when he left Chicago, was basically a shell of himself. What did he do in the what was it, 95? No, 90. Yes, I think it was 95. What did he do in the 95 finals that put Orlando over the hill? No, I'm not talking about old, but got them over the hill to win championships. Ain't that why Horace Grant went to Orlando, to help them out to win championships? he took this money to go over there, right? So they get swept 4-0 in the finals. And then the next season, where was Horace Grant in those finals? The next season, they play the Bulls, and the guy is hurt. I don't care that he was hurt. Don't give me this lame. Oh man, the man was hurt, man. Well, you can't be hurt. I'm just telling you, you can't be hurt in that big time game, that big time series. You can't. I'm sorry. You got if you can't walk, that's fine, but you got to get out there and play if you can walk. You just can't do it. So I can tell you, if Horace Grant would have stayed with the Bulls and he was on that second three-peat, he's Hall of Famer. He's Hall of Famer. He was never hurt in Chicago. He's Hall of Famer. I think he makes more defensive teams. I think he puts up better points. And truthfully, I think they could win another three-peat. Well, the second three-peat without Dennis Rodman. And I think it would have been more convincing. I think they could have beat, the Sonics. I think they could have had them in a sweep. And you say, oh, man, no, ain't no way. Dennis Rodman was playing this defense. He was getting all these boards. I'm trying to tell you, Horace Grant could play just about the same defense at that point. He was younger than Rodman, and he could give you more points. Okay? And I think it would have been easier for them maybe to beat the Jazz in both of them series in 97, 98, 4-1 in both of them series, if not a sweep. I'm trying to tell you, because Horace Grant was up and coming. You guys, we've been hearing this stuff about him being, he should be a Hall of Famer, the best guys to not make the Hall of Fame. Yes, I think if he would have been on the second three-peat, I mean, this guy could give you a mid-range shot out to the foul line. He was very good. And I think that's what they're looking at. They're looking at him on his first three-peat, how good he was. But he didn't get that good until 91, 92, 93. Okay? After that, he kind of fell off. He was okay defensively. I don't think he put up the same points. And, after 96, his defense kind of fell off, right? After he got hurt and stuff like that. So, definitely a Hall of Famer to me if he would have stayed with Chicago. And then Jordan would have played with two Hall of Famers. And you got to remember, too, if Jordan would have never retired, now we're looking at maybe 4 in a row, 5 in a row, maybe 6 in a row. And then Jordan retires after that. You never know. Because we always hear this nonsense, oh, man, the Rockets, man. Who's going to beat the Rockets? Well, if Jordan stays, Horace Grant stays, and then boom, bam, bam. There you got it. We got defense in the middle with Horace Grant. And, you got to remember, Michael Jordan, he was going crazy. He had just scored 41 points per game in that Phoenix series. You're trying to tell me he's going to score what? Against Houston? And on top of that, you got to remember, in 94, the Knicks took Houston all the way to Game 7. So all these dummies that's talking about who's going to stop Hakeem, who's going to stop Hakeem. Nobody's going to stop Hakeem. But what I'm trying to say is, who's going to stop Michael Jordan? Who's going to stop Pippen? Who's going to stop Horace Grant? They don't have those guys on that team. At that point, we had B.J. Armstrong, John Paxson. We just had a lot of guys. We're coming off of a three-peat, going for a four-peat. So we already know how to win, okay? What year was that these guys were number 8 or no, number 6 or something like that? Houston? Was it that year? In 94? I forget what year it was, but Now, if you're talking about the year that Clyde Drexler came in, 95, I might give you that. But this was Clyde. He was a little bit older. But what I'm trying to say is, if we're talking about that three-peat team trying to go for a four-peat now against Houston, I think we beat them 4-2. If we got Horace Grant, we still got all the pieces. They just know how to win. Those teams just knew how to win. They had, at that time, Houston had, one Hall of Fame caliber guy. That's it. And they never seen no defense like the Bulls was going to give them. So we would have went on to four-peat, if not five-peat, and maybe Houston's not even in the finals back-to-back, because you got to remember, if they lose in 94 to the Bulls, they're probably going to be rattled. They're probably going to be rattled and not even go to the finals that year. And the whole situation changes now. Now we're looking at 95, and and we probably just beat the hell out of Orlando because they don't have Horace Grant if they even make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Because you got to remember, um, Orlando, they were getting beat up all those years with Shaq over there. They were getting swept, beaten 4-1, blah, blah, blah. So it's not even a threat. Or who's the threat now? Maybe New York, maybe Indiana, but Orlando isn't. They don't have Horace Grant. He's with the Bulls. And the Bulls just go on basically to the finals again for a 5th straight title. And there's Houston. Yes, they might have Clyde Drexler that year, if they do. Remember, Clyde might not even come over because they didn't win the championship in 94. Got to remember, Clyde came over in 95 season because he was like, whoa, let me get a piece of that. Hakeem just won, and now he wanted to come play with his buddy, Hakeem Clyde Drexler did. So, the whole thing is just crazy. And Michael Jordan doesn't retire. It's just like pure domination. And the fact that he retired for a year and a half and came back and won 3 championships and led the league in scoring 2 MVPs is just insane. It just doesn't make any sense. And so let's look at this. I like Chris Mullin, but there's no way he should be a Hall of Famer if Kevin Johnson and Sean Kemp isn't. And look, Michael Cooper, yes, he's got Defensive Player of the Year, and he's got like 8 defensive teams. But if I'm not mistaken, well, I know this for sure, he never made one All-Star game. And he never made an All-NBA. And he's in the Hall of Fame. So are we just going on championships and defense for him? I'm not too sure, but he might be the only player in a Hall of Fame who hasn't made an All-Star team or All-NBA. He just might. That's insane. Can we just look past championships when they're talking about the Hall of Fame? Don't because we've been told a lot of time, oh man, that's a team accomplishment, and it is. But your individual accolades should put you in a Hall of Fame. Now, if we're talking championships too, then guess what? Maybe Horace Grant is in the Hall of Fame. He's got 4 championships. Michael Cooper has 5. So what are they using for Michael Cooper? Is it the defense? I'm not for sure. I'm not trying to say he wasn't a great player, but like I said, to have no All-Star appearances and no All-NBAs, that's what I'm saying. So if we take the Finals MVP and the NBA championship away from Chauncey Billups, he's a 5-time All-Star, All-NBA second team, 1 time. What's he? 2-time third team All-NBA and All-Defensive second team, 1 time. So to me, that's not too far off from Sean Kemp. 6-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA second team. Yes, Chauncey Billups has 1 defensive team, but like I said, if you take the championship away and the Finals MVP, they're on the same accord. They're on the same level. Chauncey Billups, 15 points per game. Sean Kemp, 14. Rebounds, Sean Kemp, 8. Let's see, Chauncey Billups, 2.9. Assists, Chauncey Billups, 5.6. And blocks, Sean Kemp, 1.2. And then you look over here at Kevin Johnson, 3-time All-Star, 4-time All-NBA second team, 1-time third team, points, 17.9, basically 18 points per game, 9.1 assists, 1.5 steals. And you look at, who is this? Chris Mullin, 18.2 points per game, 4.1 rebounds, 3.5 assists. So if you're going to put Chris Mullin in the Hall of Fame, but you're not going to put Kevin Johnson, I don't understand. Chris Mullin averaged 1 more point I don't know about the rebounds because they don't have. I didn't see him on here for Kevin Johnson, but they're not going to do that because Kevin Johnson was a guard, a point guard too. But 9.1 assists. Come on now, 1.5 steals. Look, I don't know, folks. I don't know. I guess they're going to give that to him because, maybe because they beat Shaq. But I don't know. Maybe Ben Wallace should have been the finals MVP for shutting down Shaq and not Chauncey Billups. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But these guys should be in the Hall of Fame. These guys should be in the Hall of Fame, no doubt. But, they don't want to give Michael Jordan no more Hall of Fame opponents. That's how they do. But they'll just go, watch, Draymond Green is going into the Hall of Fame. And, people like Paul George, he'll be in the Hall of Fame. The list will go on and on for LeBron because, that the bar got lowered. Rudy Gobert, he's going to be a top 100 player. That's what's so crazy. He's going to be a top 100 player. And who else would you put in there? It's going to be interesting to see the top 100 players when they come out with this list. Because they're going to have to let a lot of dudes in from the past. They ain't going to have no choice. Who you going to put on there? From this era? I know you put probably... You got to put SGA, Luka, Joker, Joel Embiid, Wemby. It'll be a few more that pop up before that time comes. But what I'm saying is they're gonna have to throw in a lot of old school guys that they didn't let in before. Who else? I think they'll let Dwight Howard in. They might let Dwight Howard on that list. I don't know how the hell he's not on that list. It's ridiculous. I did a video on that, but who else would I put in there from back in the day? Man, they already got like a lot of guys on there from back in the day. Just definitely not Sean Kemp or Kevin Johnson. They won't even let these guys in the Hall of Fame. And I think Tom Chambers, he averaged, what was it, like 18, 19 points per game? And they won't even let him in the Hall of Fame. So, you got to remember, if they let him in the Hall of Fame, if they let these three guys in the Hall of Fame, that's more Hall of Famers that Jordan went against. It'll be 3 on one team against, the Chicago Bulls only had 2 on that team when they played Phoenix. They're not going to do that. They're trying to let Horace Grant in there. They're trying to get Horace Grant up in there. Yeah, they want to continue to have you think Michael Jordan was playing nobody. And I can tell you what, people like Chauncey Billups, he would never be a Hall of Famer back in the 90s. And this ought to tell you too. When you look at Kevin Johnson, he only made 3 All-Star games. What does that tell you? It was some great point guards in the league at that time. Some great point guards that you was battling. And 8 rebounds a game. 14, 8. I mean, that right there should be Hall of Fame. I think Sean Kemp, when did they play? They played in 96, so 97. Well, he couldn't make the top 75 at that time, but I think if he would have stayed with the Sonics, he would have been a clear cut Hall of Famer. And maybe they would have won 1 championship and he would have went to more All-Stars, but he left and he went to Cleveland for the money. And I think after, like, later on, didn't he go to, I could have sworn he went to Portland. Did he go to Portland? Or was that like later on? I forget. But, it's unfortunate he had to leave the Sonics because they wouldn't pay the guys money. And when we talked about Horace Grant earlier, the man had to leave Chicago just to make any money. You don't won the city 3 damn championships and you still can't get paid. This was crazy. Michael Jordan had to tell them, because he basically was playing for nothing in the first go around in Chicago. In 93, all the way until 93, he was playing for nothing. And everybody, all these other great players were making more money than him a year. From David Robinsons, the Patrick Ewings, the Birds, the Magics, the Larry Johnsons, all these dudes was making more money than Michael Jordan. And he didn't cry about it. But you can see the thing with the Scottie Pippen contract. They could have redone the contract. Yes, he made a bad contract. He made a bad decision. But they could have restructured it, did whatever like that. But they wouldn't even do that. This is how cheap these people were. So yeah, that's when Michael Jordan, the last 2 seasons, asked for $30 million a year. And for him to actually come in there and deliver, not only in those back-to-back years, but on a three-peat, is incredible. And Scottie Pippen was basically making nothing. And probably the rest of them was too, making nothing. Because a lot of them was like on 1-year deals and stuff like that. Like, what was it? I think Rodman, what was he like on 1-year deal like in 97, 98? And I'm not sure. I think Michael Jordan was too on 97, 98, but they still give him $30 million a year each year. But yeah, man, this is, it's like I said, for me, it's hard to believe these guys are making this kind of money today. It's just hard for me to believe. Not that, when somebody say, oh, that's hard for me to believe. What I'm saying is I can't believe these guys are making this kind of money in a league that is dying, is going extinct. Nobody is watching this. Yes, they're getting their fans. They got their fan bases coming to the games. Like, if you watch hockey or you watch baseball, you got your core fans. But as far as ratings in the bigger picture, nobody is watching this trash. And the fact that they changed the game to where it's no longer the NBA, it's some gimmick game, I don't know what they're going to do. I think they structured it like, to me, I've told you before, I think they really had no choice but to do certain things. It ain't that they wanted to do it, certain things, but they had no choice because they saw in the 2000s, it wasn't a gimmick game. Dudes weren't low managing. For the most part, dudes out there hustling and playing real basketball, but nobody was wanting to watch it. Nobody was wanting to watch it like that, not like the past. I don't think you had the same announcers. When it left and went to ABC, I think it took a big hit. Because we were used to hearing Marv Albert, and then, what's this guy's name? Goodness, I forget his name. The guy with the baby face. The guy who came after Marv Albert on NBC. So we had him then. We were just used to certain voices. And I think when ABC came, I think a couple people were there calling these games. I think it was Al Michaels, and somebody else. But anyways, I don't know. It was just different. I think the big players now, the big teams now were kind of like Central and West Coast teams where you had the Spurs and you had the Lakers. I think you had Sacramento and you had Portland. So that was the only good teams in the league that were great. There really wasn't no great East Coast teams no more. Indiana, Philly, who else was there? The Nets, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like the Chicago Bulls of the 90's, or we're looking at, the Heat of the 90's, or the Pistons of the 80's, or the Knicks of the 90's. It just wasn't there no more. Patrick Ewing was done. So basically, all the power was in the West. It was in the West, and to watch these games, you had to live on the West Coast to get to know these players, to watch the games. Every good team, great team, was on the West now, and the majority of the population is on the East in the United States. And just nobody was really feeling this new NBA. Kobe was trying to be like Jordan. Shaq, he really didn't have this, he had a good personality, but I don't think a lot of people was buying it. As him being the new face of the league, he really wasn't the real face. Tim Duncan, he didn't want to be the face. Kind of boring. He was kind of in line with David Robinson. They both the same. They're real boring. Couldn't be the face of the league. You had the Portland Thugs. Sacramento, they were okay. But I'm saying everything was like on the West. All the good teams was on the West. And I think the NBA really took a hit because of that. That it wasn't, the league was no longer balanced, right? The rivalries were on the West now. All those teams I just mentioned, that's your rivalries. In the East, it really wasn't no rivalries no more. So you were pretty much trying to build up a new NBA. Just how it was. Just how it was. So, like I said, I'm gonna keep saying it. It's hard for me to believe these guys make this kind of money in a dying league. These guys couldn't even get paid back then. It was the golden era. This league was making so much damn money, and these guys still couldn't get no money. But these guys today who are doing less and ain't getting no ratings, and the league is trash, and they got to change the rules so these guys can look good after they get destroyed by Euros. There's no positional basketball. There's no positional skills, and these guys are making all this money for, huh? I don't know about this, guys. We can be dumb if we want to, but I just don't like these guys are wearing makeups after they retire, reading off of scripts and sitting at desk and doing all this, podcasting. If you I just can't believe it. I wouldn't even want to be around none of this stuff. If I got hundreds of millions, tens of millions, and if I did this all my career, run up and down the floor, there's no way. There's not 1 minute or second I would want to be around my career. I wouldn't want to go back to work after I got retired. I get pensions, Social Security, 401k. I got hundreds of thousands in the bank. Why would I want to go back to work? Why would I want to be around that stuff? Tell me what you think.